Hello, I am Punk 5 and welcome to the Punk 5 Pit, where we jump into talks about all things story and character driven. Now, if you're a big fan of movies, TV, and games like me, then you've seen how major companies have been trying to push inclusivity and representation in entertainment. Most of that has gone over like a fart in a closed car. The only person who's happy about it is the one who dealt it. Everyone else is just trying to get through the experience as best they can and pray that it'll be over soon. But the exception to that rule is a show called Brooklyn Nine-Nine, the former Fox, now NBC sitcom, since Fox foolishly let it go. The show has been nailing inclusion and representation from the first episode. I mean, they have, what, two Latinas, two Jews, which is especially important if you've been following NBA news, because apparently anti-Semitism is alive and well in professional sports. Because why not? 2020, yo. Um, they got two black men and multiple LGBTQ plus characters. On top of that, I mean, really, Brooklyn Nine-Nine is representing almost every minority demographic. There was even a recurring Asian character for a time named Savant, who did the precinct's internet security and whatnot, just their general IT stuff. And they did all of this without making a mess of it or pissing off their fans. So, how is it a comedy show full of die-hard references is knocking things out of the park so well? I could say it's that the character Rosa Diaz's father is Machete! Otherwise known as Danny Trejo, but I think the real answer is how they handle it. Although, admittedly, having Machete as one of your main character's father doesn't hurt. Just doesn't hurt, does it? But instead of making the character's race, religion, sexuality, or gender their defining characteristic, or shoving those characteristics down the viewer's throat, it's just one part of these much more well-rounded characters who each have their own special traits that everyone can enjoy, relate to, and sympathize with. Like, you can't just have a character just be gay, or just be trans, or just be black or Asian or something, that's just all that character is. That is what Brooklyn Nine-Nine gets so right where everyone else gets it so wrong. And one of my favorite examples of this is Terry Crews's character, Sergeant Terrence Jeffords, who might be black, but is so much more as a character and a person on the show. I mean, he is wiping out the stereotype of the deadbeat black dad with his unending love of his family, but also yogurt. Terry loves yogurt. Mm-hmm. But you constantly see him just excelling as a person despite his race. His race is brought up in one episode I could very much relate to, where he had to deal with being arrested really forcefully in front of his own home when he was just trying to find his little girl's It's a little giraffe toy they needed to sleep with. But the point is, he was just arrested for being black, and having been arrested for being Latino, I could really relate to that. And I could relate to the struggle he went through of whether or not he should report it because of the damage it could do to his career. All of that is really heavy material to deal with. Yet, there's so many more interesting stories that revolve around this character that just make him an awesome human being to watch. Like the way he can make his pecs dance, his love for fitness, his love of yogurt, his love for his precinct. You can't help but love this giant teddy bear of a human being who is also a massive nerd, who's got like fan fiction and cosplay for a Game of Thrones style book series. Like, just the sight of this giant black man dressed up as a fictional fantasy character and just losing his mind over meeting his favorite author was just adorable. And it's something very relatable. And it's something that everyone can jump in and be like, yeah, I know that feeling. Even enhancing, really, the moments where he does struggle because you relate to him in so many other ways. Now you can kind of get on board with what he's going through. And if that wasn't enough, you also have the other black character of the show, Captain Raymond Holt, otherwise known as Velvet Thunder. I have watched this show I don't know how many times now, and that is still probably one of my favorite moments of all, is just him calling himself Velvet Thunder. Like, oh, Andre Brower is just my freaking hero just for that line. I swear. But the character himself, Raymond Holt, is an out of the closet gay black man in the NYPD, has been since somewhere in the 70s or 80s, when it was bad enough just trying to be a black cop, let alone a gay black cop. And you see how much he struggled trying to get anywhere because of his race and sexuality. And it probably didn't help that he also is married to a white man. So he's in an interracial marriage. And even today, that can be a struggle, let alone 30, 40 years ago. But you see him just fight through that shit so well. And it comes up a lot, because you can't help but have it come up. And yet it never felt out of place or annoying or anything else that you get with shows like Batwoman, where you just have an endless series of lesbians. Like, God, what did they get up to? 6 lesbians in one episode? It's just like, apparently Gotham is some kind of nexus for lesbians. Don't know why. But it's not like that with Holt. He's extremely brainy and sophisticated, reserved to the point of coming off like a robot. And yet, you still kind of get on board with him every time he talks about his husband or he gets really excited, because you've seen all different sides to this person. He comes off as a real person, not just some diversity hire shoehorned in gay character. You love seeing him and Kevin together. because they're adorable. And if you disagree with that, I'm sorry, but you're a monster, because Kevin, Holt, and Cheddar together are adorable. Just adorable. And you wouldn't have the show having gone on for 10 seasons now if it had done representation and diversity and inclusivity poorly. It just wouldn't happen. I mean, if you look at it, the show has fans of every spectrum, all races, sexes, genders, what have you. Meanwhile, shows like Batwoman make you feel like you don't belong if you don't fit this very narrow view of characterization and inclusivity. Plus, shows like Batwoman, most frustratingly, they want to slap as many LGBTQ plus or minority characters on screen as they can, but they don't show both sides of the coin here. They always show it as just, it's amazing being gay or being black or what have you. And a lot of times it is, but just as often it is awful. And that's what Brooklyn Nine-Nine is hitting on the head so well. I mean, let's just take a little look at Detective Rosa Diaz that I mentioned earlier. She had to struggle to come out as bisexual to a very traditional Latino family, where she only truly had her friends' support because her family, especially her mother, just dropped her instantly. Didn't speak to her for months. And you see this person opening up over time more and more about their sexuality and learning to accept it, and seeing how a lot of people instantly accepted her for it, but just as many people were weirded out and didn't want to hear about it. And being a gender fluid bisexual person myself, I could relate to how terrifying coming out to a Hispanic family was. In fact, Rosa Diaz's character is what inspired me to come out to my own family after seeing her being enough of a badass to do it. Not caring whether her family accepted her or not. Just acknowledging that maybe they'll come around someday, but maybe they won't. I can't control that. That's badass. So I have to ask, why don't we have more shows that are able to demonstrate people of different races, sexualities, religions, and everything else all come together this well? And with all of the trials that come with it as well. Instead of showing family that instantly accept LGBTQ plus children or interracial marriages, I mean, those families are definitely out there, which is fabulous. But if you want to represent these groups' struggles, show the characters struggling to find that acceptance before first getting it from their friends who are able to instantly understand, and then fighting for the acceptance of other people. That will save you so much backlash of using minorities as trophies to be won, and will keep fans happy. That's just about as simple as it is. Don't hoist these people up onto the screen and just hold them out for everyone to look at, being like, look at us, look at all the gays and the blacks and the Latinos we have. Don't do it that way. But let me know what you think about this on Twitter or YouTube at Punk5Pop. I'd be very interested to hear what other people have to say about it.